All right, welcome to the first live stream that I'm going to do for the GT4 series using Sophy AI. If you didn't, this is the second series that I've watched, so if you didn't watch the first series, I did kind of like a V8 Supercars knockoff using the V8 rear-wheel drive powered GR4 cars or GT4 cars. The Lexus and the Mercedes and the Aston Martin and the Jaguar and the Mustang, Corvette, stuff like that. It went fairly well, but because I was also using a GR4 car at the time, I was using the Jaguar. I had to severely penalize myself with ballast weight to slow myself down so that the racing was, close with the AI cars. Now, with this series, it's a little different because all the AI opponents are using the GR4 cars or what is known as a race car. So if you look at this car, let's see if it shows it here. It does not show it here, but if you look on the bottom left there, where it says car type and it says hashtag road car. So if I change to this, see how it says hashtag racing car? So I think because I'm using a road car versus the racing cars, I'm at somewhat of a disadvantage. So even with my car being the same power or roughly the same power and weight as the AI cars, I'm still at a roughly, at a small disadvantage, and so it makes the racing actually pretty close. Another thing too is that for some reason, and maybe it's just because it's a road car, but when I take a pit stop in the race to change tires and get fuel, I have to take more fuel to get to the end of the race than the AI cars do. So that kind of, even if I climb up to, let's say, fifth place by the time I pit, because I have to take more fuel, it puts me kind of back in the pack again, and I have to fight my way back towards the front. So it's good for racing, just so that it gets rid of the revving, so you can hear me. So this is the car we're using, Nissan Z, built to GT4 spec, using roughly the same BOP as the AI cars. And this car's been a favorite of mine for a long time, but I always struggled with the setup on it. It was always really understeery or snap oversteer, and this is the setup I have on it now, and this is actually pretty good. I like this setup a lot. There is still a little bit of understeer, but I would prefer to have a little bit of understeer versus, just full on snap oversteer. And then the transmission, I actually have it set up to be like a 6-speed sequential, like the real GT4 car. So I don't use 7th, 8th, and 9th gears. Those are just ignored. So a little bit of ballast. Here's all the installed parts. Not much. Still using the stock turbo. Sports muffler. Just brakes. And weight reduction. That's it. Oh, and racing clutch and flywheel. So let's go over and get the race started. Now, as far as the grid positions go for the AI cars, what I do for my series when I do the Sophy AI championships, basically, I do my own championships, and for this series, I'm coining it the Intercontinental GT4 series. It's kind of based on the Intercontinental GT3 series that's put on by the SRO. But we're using GT4 cars instead, but we're still using the GT3 point system. So let me look at it. I got to pull it up real quick here. Give me 1 second. Google Drive is really slow. So 1st through 10th earn points, and then 11th to 19th earn 0 points. Now I say 19th because I do have it set to 20 cars, and I'll show you here in a second. This is one of the things that you have to do for Sophy to be pretty good to race against. So let me load the settings. All right, so we're doing 32 laps. I have it set to 20 cars. 17th is my grid position, and that's how I qualified, but I'll get to that here in a second. I'm starting it at the minimum rolling start interval, 50 feet. Boost, so this is one of the key things for Sophy for it to be good to race against. Boost has to be set on weak. If you set it to none, they won't be fast enough. And then strong is just the rubber banding effect on strong is just crazy, so you want to avoid it. Weak should be their default setting. For some reason it's not, but if you set it to weak, then you're good. I put slipstream on strong because I find that if the cars are too closely matched as far as BOP, they sometimes have trouble passing each other. Like they'll pull out on a straightaway like they're going to pass another car, but then at the end of the straightaway they'll tuck back in behind that car and not pass it, and they'll do it lap after lap after lap. It is still a problem, but not as much if you put slipstream on strong because it gives them a little extra to get around that car. Mechanical damage light. So for this I'm doing tire wear on 3 times, fuel consumption on 2. If I do 3 times, then they'll usually pit twice during the race, and I don't want that. So, and then 1 times there won't be enough wear for a pit stop. 5 liter per second fueling speed. Grip reduction set to real, of course. Since this is weather, I went with cloudy, or since this is Brands Hatch is what I meant to say, and it's in England. It's usually cloudy and, gloomy over there. So I'm just going to do cloudy, late morning here. And then selecting cars from the garage, professional level. I have my GT7 default difficulty level set to hard. So that could be another key thing. Keep that in mind. And then the garage. So you'll see here in first place, I have a safety car. Now, even when boost is on weak, there is somewhat of a rubber banding effect depending on where you are positioned on track. If you get into first place, the AI cars will artificially speed up to keep up with you. Sometimes they'll run lap times that are like 3 or 4 seconds a lap quicker than you, especially after pit stops. Like, if everybody makes pit stops and the AI cars kind of fall back, they'll artificially speed up to catch back up to you. So what we do is we put a car in first place that you basically ignore it. And that car needs to be faster than all the AI cars, and it has to be faster than you. So that car basically doesn't exist. I'm using a safety car because if I want to take screenshots afterwards from the replay, I can get a screenshot right at the start of the race. It shows a pace car in the front, so it looks kind of cool. But other than that, so I have this car set so that it's faster than me and it's faster than the AI cars, but only by like a second or 2 per lap. And that means that once it pulls away from the field, it's usually somewhere on the other side of the track from where you're at, and you never see it. So it's out of sight, out of mind. And what this does is it eliminates the rubber banding effect so that those AI cars do not artificially speed up to catch up to you if you get into first place, quote unquote first place, which isn't technically first place because you'll be the second car in line on track. But because you're ignoring that first car, technically you're in first place. So that gives you a field of 19 cars or 18 cars that you're racing against, plus you. Now, the grid position on these cars, what I do before these races is I go into time trial mode and I do 2 laps time trial with each car, with each AI car. And whatever they run for a lap time is the grid order that I put them in. With my V8 series, I just did 2 laps and used the fastest lap to set the grid. For this series, I do 2 laps and I use the optimal time to set the grid. And this is what we've come to now. I'm in 17th place because that's where my car qualified. I even did 5 laps for me. Like I did 2 laps for all the AI cars. I did 5 laps for my car to try and get the most out of it that I could, and I still only qualified 17th. So that is where I'm at. But we've got the Hondas, McLaren, the Hyundais, Mustangs, Aston, Mercedes, Lamborghini. I don't really want the Lamborghinis, but they kind of are replacing the Audi R8s that don't exist. So the Supra, the Porsche, the Ferrari, and that's about it. So the race should be somewhere between 50 to 55 minutes, depending. All this stuff off except for flag rolls I leave on. There's no reason to turn the shortcut penalty on because it's only going to apply to me, and I don't really need to penalize myself if nobody else is getting penalized. So same goes with the pit lane line cutting penalty. So let's go ahead and start that. All right, so I've already done a bunch of test races just to make sure that this is good, and it's going to be a tough fight. So the AI, now here's another thing too that is key to the Sophy matching as far as it being a good fight for you. Some tracks in GT7 are not good for AI. They're really slow through a lot of corners. Laguna Seca is one of those tracks where the AI cars are just really slow, and it's super easy to beat them no matter what you do. And then there's tracks that are opposite, like Sophy is really good at Suzuka Circuit. It's also pretty good here at Brands Hatch, and it's also pretty good at Red Bull Ring and Interlagos and Road America. So there's a list of tracks that are good for it, and there's a list of tracks that are just not good, and we're going to avoid the tracks that are not good. So this series is going to be 6 races. We're going to start here at Brands Hatch, and then we're going to Catalunya, Red Bull Ring, Interlagos, Road Atlanta, and then we're going to end at Suzuka. So should be a fun time. I'm going to go ahead and start this. I will apologize up front if I'm concentrating on what I'm doing. I tend to be fairly quiet and don't talk a lot, but I'll try to make sure that I say something every once in a while. So let's go ahead and start the race. Now the first lap will be kind of slow because the tires are cold, so now this one corner right here, they're a little slow out of. You can see how they slowed down, but that's really the only corner on this track where they're slow. I will say another thing that you want to do to give yourself a good race, treat the AI opponents like they are human drivers. You don't want to be running into them. You don't want to be pushing them off track. Pretend that you're racing against other human beings. So you don't want to be going, 11 tenths every lap. And this is a good way to practice your racecraft. You want to find ways around people without pushing them out of the way. And you see we're a lap and a half in already, and I haven't passed a single car. Try and go for a dive here, maybe. I didn't get a good run out of there. And while you're trying to pass the car in front of you, you got to watch the cars behind you too, because they'll try to dive in and take your position. Gotta run. Stuff it in there. Yeah, see? I got past the Mustang and then the two cars behind me followed me through. A little bit of understeer right there. Yeah, the only thing left about this Z that I'm using, as far as the setup goes, is that depending on the track, if you're trying to trail brake into a corner, the rear end might step out. So I'm still trying to figure out how to fix that. The only corner on this track where it's an issue is going into the first corner, because the rear end's kind of unloaded as you're going downhill through the first corner. Oh, Mustang's going for it. If I can follow him through. He left that wide open. Never leave it wide open like that. Oh, and I forgot to mention, if you look at the totem pole on the left there with the drivers' names, you might recognize some of the drivers. Gotta watch this McLaren. He's gonna try and go around the outside here. Oh, now he's going to the inside. Oh, switcheroo. Little over-under action. Anyways, you might recognize some of those names because I've pulled them from various racing series around the planet. A lot of them are GT4 drivers. So, as I said, you might recognize some of the names. Try and protect the inside again here so that McLaren doesn't get back in there. You got to be watching the radar and your mirrors if you can, because if you leave too big of a gap going into a corner, the AI cars will definitely stick their nose in there. Look at that move around the outside. That was good. Maybe. The only thing, one of the things I don't like about Sophy though is that if you dive in there like that, they tend to freak out and like go really wide, and that allows a couple cars behind you to pass them too. Well, Aston's going for the move here. He'll probably tuck back in though. Yeah. Ooh, I thought about it. He's looking for a way around, but so far he can't make it stick. Try and use some of that draft. Got the McLaren coming up on the outside again. I don't think so, Mr. McLaren. Oh, he's trying again. Yeah, see, I looked away from the radar for 1 second and he stuck it in there. Like I said, you gotta really watch your mirrors and the radar, because if they can find a way past you, they will. Took a look, but they were guarding it. Give them a little bit of a bump. See, we're on lap 9, and I've only passed a few cars. So that just shows you how good this is. Seem to be stuck behind the Toyota up there. There we go. See what I mean? Like, if you dive in, they like swing way up out of the way. Almost like they get scared. Oh, maybe. Try and keep him behind us now. A little better under brakes than Lamborghini. Come on, dude, you keep looking, but you're not making that move. Whoa, a little bit oversteer. was going to try and sneak in there, but maybe we can get a run here. No, not really. A little bit faster than him in the corners, but he's got better straightaway speed. Go for it. Again, this is one of the problems I've noticed with Sophy is they get stuck behind another car like this. They'll pull out to try and make a move, but then they can't get it done. They just tuck back in behind. I got a little bit of a run, but I needed some slipstream to help me. Whoa, we got a little unsettled right there. Oh, I screwed that up. I braked too late. Turned in too late. Keeps making a weird move in the middle of the corners. And now I'm going to have to start protecting against the Aston behind me. Try the outside, maybe. Nope. Not gonna work. Yeesh, just can't get a nose in there. I mean, as you can see, this is not easy. This is how Gran Turismo AI should be all the time. Let's try this here. Oh, maybe. No. Oh, little bump. Probably just lost my clean race for that, but whatever. That kind of hurt him a little bit on that entry, but I just don't have the straightaway speed. Oh, maybe. There we go. Oh, kind of stuffed it in there a little hard. Okay, now we're making some progress. So you can see we're doing like 32s and 33s, and the pace car up front's doing like 31s, low 31s. So he's not like super far ahead of us, which is good because I can't see him, which means he's out of sight, out of mind. And we've got this whole group of cars here is stuck behind the leader. Maybe. Try and get a nose in there. There we go. Got a battle going for the lead right now. Looks like the Ferrari got past the Hyundai finally. Got a little bit of a run, but I need some slipstream help. Oh, got a run maybe. Oh, might get two of them here. Maybe. Yep. A little bit of contact, but I gave him plenty of room. Might go for it here. Whoa. Got pinched off. Oh, jeez. I braked way too late. Kind of sent it in there. I was trying to get in under the NSX and didn't expect the Porsche to be so slow. Getting there. So even though it says we're in 4th place on the totem on the left, we're actually in 3rd. Because remember, we're ignoring that first place car. Might be sketchy. He's got to over-under though. They always do that. They're really good about doing that. If you dive in on them and it causes you to push out wide on the corner exit, they'll get back in there. Now we gotta chase down the Ferrari. Be coming up on pit stop soon. Looks like the Hyundai just pitted behind me. Ooh, almost overcooked that a little bit. Sketchy. That's like my least favorite corner on this track, because if you go too far to the left there, you get out in the grass, you're screwed. Now remember, we've made it up this far, but because I have to take more fuel than the AI cars, it's gonna drop me back down the field a little bit. See, we ran a 31.9, so we can get into the 31s if we're not in traffic. I kind of screwed that up a little bit, but maybe. Alright, we are in the lead, but I'm gonna have to pit soon. A little wide. Alright, we'll pit this time. Whoa, the rear end almost came around. Alright, see the little diamond symbol that's like right above the 2.2? That's what we're filling to. Or like just past it. So we'll go to right there. Whoa, lots of traffic coming into the turn here. Try and protect that inside. Might even get under the Mustang. No. See, it dropped us way back down in the fields because we had to take more fuel. But that's okay because it's a challenge, and challenges are good. So we basically have 9 laps to try and get back to the front. Super making a move on the Aston. Aston's coming back underneath. They do that a lot where they'll pass each other and then they'll pass each other again and then they'll pass each other again. A lot of over-unders going on. Mustang gonna make a move? Nope. Maybe we'll go around the outside, see if we can make it stick. Ooh, maybe. All right. Around the outside. Yeah, we gotta run. Cars coming off the pit road. Understeer. Went a little too quick into there. Rear end stepped out under braking. Thought about it, but we were too far back. A little bit of a wobble. Nope. Gotta run. Because he overcooked that a little bit, but he's gonna have more straightaway speed. Oh, a little bit of a wobble is gonna give us a chance. Whoa. Now I got the wobbles. I'd like to at least try and get into the points, so we need to pass at least 2 or 3 more cars. But the Lambos are not easy to pass. Oh, maybe. Dive bomb. Send it. I don't know why I downshifted into third there. I didn't need to. Hey Pablo, if you hang around until after the race, I will go through the world map and kind of give you an idea of which tracks that Sophy is slow at. Got a Ferrari out. Whoa, oh, contact. That was kind of my bad because I was distracted. Yeah, after the race, I'll go through the world map and kind of point out which ones that I typically avoid for Sophy because she's too slow. I thought about it, but it wasn't going to work. Understeer. Now I hope that once we get towards the end of the race here, actually in the next lap or two, sometimes Sophy will pit twice, which is disappointing. But I'm hoping none of them will do that here. Just got in there. I'm pretty sure the red Ferrari is going to win this one because he actually pulled out a gap. He's quite a ways up, out in front, going into turn one now. Aston's got it's got some legs down the straightaway. I had a lot of understeer right there. Maybe. Ooh, I almost overshot that. I tried. Whoa. Mercedes had some understeer. Had to take that corner a little shallow because the Aston was right behind me. Didn't want to take a chance that he was going to stick his nose in there. But he's going to try. Need to get past the Mercedes. Try it right here. Ooh. Last lap. Oh, brake too late. I didn't even notice the NSX got past the Hyundai. That's good. Ooh. Missed the apex. We're getting low on fuel, but I think we're good. Yeah, we're good. I caught up to him. Oh, he's going to try and make a move at the line. Whew. I'm all sweaty. Okay, so that says 8th, but we're actually in 7th, so we finished 7th. But that was pretty good. So that just goes to show you, you know, if you give yourself a little bit of a disadvantage, right? I'm in a road car versus the race cars, so that's a disadvantage. And put the, I guess we call it the rabbit car or the pace car up in front that is faster than everybody so that it eliminates the rubber banding effect. And make sure the BOP is good and just make sure you're going to the right circuits. The AI is pretty good. You gotta have the right settings. There's so much that you have to do to make the racing good, but when you run a race like that and the racing is that good, it makes it worth it. Alright, so I'm going to save that. Save. And we'll come back to that. Oh, I need to take... screenshots of this so I can get to it later. The McLaren's finished in last, and that tells me they probably pit twice. I'll check the replay later and find out. All right. Yeah, so we finished 7th. So we got 6 points. And the winner gets 25. It's 25, 18, 15, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, and 1 for 10th place. Okay, so as far as the fast track, so Brands Hatch, as you just saw, is pretty good. There's that that right-hand kink that goes down the hill on the back side of the track there that they are a little slow coming out of. But other than that, they're pretty good. Spa, they're not terrible, but I find that they are... Now, let me bring up a track map here so that I can get the corner numbers and names correctly. Okay, so I find that Sophy is kind of slow through Lake Holmes, turns 7, 8, and 9 at Spa. And also in turn 18, the little kink before you come to the chicane, also kind of slow through there. The rest of the track, not bad. They do have a habit of when they get to the top of Gale Rouge, they, instead of going to the right side of the track like they're supposed to, they immediately swing left. And then they kind of go slow through turns like 4 and 5. Or no, through turn 6, sorry, onto the Camel Straight. So Sophy's not bad at Spa, but there's some improvements to be had. I wish we had the Nürburgring GP circuit, but we don't yet. I ran a Sophy race a couple days ago at Deep Forest, and Sophy is not bad there. However, at the end of the back straightaway, that really tight left-hand corner, the hairpin, I got slammed into in the back like 2 or 3 times during the race. So they need to work on their braking performance for that turn. Other than that, not bad. Red Bull Ring, they are pretty good. They're kind of slow coming out of the last corner, but the rest of the lap is not bad. There are some times where going up the hill to the sharp right-hander, to the backstretch, if there are cars underneath another car, they'll kind of swing wide and almost come to a complete stop. And they'll just try to like yank it left or right, sorry, to get back in line to go down the straightaway. So you got to watch out because they'll probably turn into you. That happens a lot at Red Bull Ring. Dragon Trail, they are pretty good. I've only run a couple races there, but not bad. Monza, let me bring up a track map here so I know what I'm talking about. Ascari, turns 8, 9, and 10. Sophy's pretty slow through there. Also slow coming out of turn 7. The rest of the lap is not terrible. I haven't tried anything at Sardegna. Catalunya is pretty good. That is, I think that's the next race that we're going to run. Yes, Catalunya is next. The only place really that Sophy is not great is the last chicane. It's kind of slow entering into it to make the first left-hander into the chicane. It breaks a little early and it's slow getting in. So you can kind of dive bomb in there maybe and take a position, but the rest of the lap is pretty good. So that's one of the good tracks for Sophy, I would say. Le Mans, I can't really say because I don't race there much. I don't think I've tried it. I don't race at Alsace, so I can't comment on that. Maggior, I'm going to preface this by saying that Maggior, I think, has replaced... So Grand Valley has always been my favorite fictional circuit in Gran Turismo until they ruined it in Gran Turismo 7. I don't care for it at all in GT7. Maggior has kind of taken the place of Grand Valley as my current favorite fictional circuit. Sophy is pretty good there, except for it's kind of slow going into, I don't even know what turn it is. If you're going in a clockwise direction, it's the turn where you're kind of turning to the right as you're braking, and then there's it kinks and it goes uphill. Sophy's kind of slow going into that corner, and then also slow coming out of the left, right, left, the next chicane after that. Other than that, pretty good the rest of the lap. Let's see, America's. Sophy is pretty, in the first, like, I don't know. I'm just going to say overall, Sophy's pretty slow at Laguna Seca. That one needs some work. Like I said, I'm not a fan of the current Grand Valley, so I don't really race there. Interlagos, I would say she's a little slow through the midsection of the, like where all the trike turns are in the middle of the track, but not bad. Not like super slow. And she makes up for it by being really fast down the straightaway. So this is also one that is on my schedule for this series, and I would say it's overall pretty good. Trial Mountain, I have not tried it yet. And Road Atlanta, I would say she's a little slow maybe going into turn one, and maybe through the last corner, depending on the type of cars that you're racing against. But the rest of the lap is pretty good. So that one is also on the schedule. I hope that they give us Sophy compatibility for Watkins Glen soon. Oh, and Daytona Road Course would be nice. And there are not enough Sophy tracks here, so I really wish that they would give us Sophy Frontopolis. Suzuka, I'm going to straight up say that Suzuka is probably the best circuit in GT7 for Sophy. If you want a good race against Sophy, go to Suzuka. She doesn't really have any weak points there. There is... Let me bring up the track map. Let's look here. So not Degner, which is turn 8, but turn 9, where you go under the bridge. Coming out of that corner, she also swerves to the right side of the track. They all do it. They go through that turn and then they just immediately go right. And that kind of slows them down a little bit coming out of that corner, so you can kind of get a run around the outside of them. Like if you're back a little ways and you get a good run through turn 9, you can swing out around the outside of them and get a run on them, which will get you a good passing opportunity for the hairpin, turn 11. Just a little slow coming out of Spoon Curve, turn 14, but not terrible. Other than that, pretty good through the rest of the lap, especially in turn 1. You got to watch yourself. You can't, when you're going through turns 1 and 2, you can't swing out too wide, because if you have a car right behind you, they will put their nose in there. So you got to kind of stay down a little bit through turn 1 and 2 to keep them behind you. But other than that, like I said, best circuit on GT7 for Sophy is Suzuka, without a doubt. I really wish that they would give us Fuji soon, hopefully. Mount Panorama, I find that they are still kind of slow across the top of the mountain, just like the regular AI, the regular Gran Turismo AI. I wish they would be a little quicker across the mountain. But other than that, I think they're okay. Scuba, I don't race there a lot because it's a small track, so it's more suited for like Miata races and stuff, which I haven't really done there, and I have not tried High Speed Ring. So that is all of them. I hope that the 2 tracks that they give us in the Spec 3 update, I am hoping at least one of them is Sophy compatible. But yeah, so that is race 1, and like I said, the next one will be Catalunya, race 2. I will try to do that one on Sunday. Actually, I take that back. We'll do it a week from today, next Monday, around the same time. My personal car has a pile of parts sitting behind me that needs to be installed, and I'm going to do that starting this weekend. BOP I did not have on. Sorry. I didn't have the stream on, so I didn't see your comment. But yes, BOP was not turned on. I'll show you here in a second. Oops, that's not what I wanted. So basically what I did, you can see a lot of the cars here. So what I did was I set all of the cars, the AI cars, to the standard GT7 BOP weight. So they are all set to GT7 BOP as far as the weight goes. And then what I did was I set them to the GT7 BOP for horsepower, but then I added 40 horsepower to every car. And then after a couple test races, depending on the car, I moved them around maybe 1 or 2 clicks up or down using the ECU to either limit the power or add a little more just to make them more even. So I couldn't tell you which ones I added and which ones I subtracted. So sorry for that. But give or take, to get about what we had today, set them to standard GT7 BOP. You have to do this manually. You can't use the BOP setting. Set them manually to BOP weight by adding ballast to them if necessary. And then set them to the GT7 BOP horsepower using the ECU to add or subtract. And then I added 40 horsepower and then just slightly adjusted from there. So, yeah. So that is that. I don't think there's anything else we need to go over. But we'll see you guys next week. Thanks to everybody that came in to watch. I wasn't sure how that race was going to go, but I did several test races before this just to make sure that it would be good, and it actually turned out pretty good. So like I said, just set it to the settings that I had and have your rabbit car that's just slightly faster than everybody. That'll just disappear. That eliminates the rubber band effect. And then just treat the AI cars like you would treat other human racers. You know, you don't want to purposely bump them. You don't want to move them out of the way. I know we're used to doing that with the standard GT7 AI because it's terrible. But this is a good way to practice your racecraft. And, you know, if you see an opening, go for it. If you can't make it, you know, don't try to avoid contact, and you'll have a good time. So try to race it like 7 or 8 tenths, right? So, but yeah. Thanks for everybody that came, and like I said, race 2 next week, same time, 7 p.m. Pacific on Monday, and we'll see you then. Thanks, guys.